The menu keys are used to display any checklist in the database at any time. The cursor is moved by sliding a finger across the touchpad. Move the hand to highlight the normal menu key. Touch and drag the hand so that the normal menu key display the normal menu. The normal menu page displays a list of the normal checklists. These are the same normal checklists that are in the operations manual. The non-normal checklists can also be accessed from a menu key. The fastest way to move the cursor to the menu keys is to use the corner areas of the touchpad. Highlight the non-normal menu key by touching the upper right corner area of the touchpad. Display the non-normal menu. This menu page displays a list of non-normal checklists organized by subject area, just like the operations manual. Any checklist can be displayed by selecting it in the menu. For now, remove the checklist using the checklist display switch. Some non-normal conditions do not have an ICAS message associated with them, but do have a checklist. These checklists are called unenunciated checklists. An example of an unenunciated checklist is the window arcing crack checklist. Display the checklist. Since there is no ICAS message, the unenunciated non-normal checklist must be manually selected from the non-normal menu. Touch the highlighted area. Display the unenunciated checklists. Highlight the window arcing crack left checklist. Since you are manually selecting this checklist, be sure you have highlighted the correct one, then display the checklist. The correct checklist is displayed. Perform the next step. Before you put this checklist away, let's discuss inhibited checklists. When you turned off the window heat, it generated the window heat left forward message. This consequential message has a checklist associated with it, but the checklist does not apply to this situation. Since the checklist does not apply, it has been inhibited. An inhibited checklist is not placed in the queue, and its icon is not displayed. Now remove the checklist from the display. Cancel the ICAS message. After completing the window arcing crack checklist, you decide to discontinue the flight, jettison fuel, and return for landing. The unenunciated checklists menu also contains the fuel jettison checklist. Highlight the fuel jettison checklist. Verify that you have highlighted the proper checklist, then display your selection. Check off the first step. This is an open-loop conditional statement. Yes or no must be selected before continuing with the checklist. For this example, select Yes. Continue. If Yes is marked, then the cursor selects the step under the conditional statement. Your selection of Yes or No can be changed at any time. Change your selection to No. Continue. If No is selected, then the step under the conditional statement turns cyan and is not selectable. Continue. Now, let's leave this checklist and come back to it when fuel jettisoning is complete. Fuel jettisoning is now complete, and you are ready to finish the fuel jettison checklist. Remember, non-normal checklists take priority over normal checklists when the checklist display switch is pushed. Although fuel jettisoning has no ICAS message, it is still displayed first because it is a non-normal checklist that was not completed. Display the checklist. The fuel jettison checklist displays, and the cursor highlights the step where you left off. Next, we'll look at operational notes. Examples of notes include operational limitations and inoperative equipment lists. When you have displayed a checklist that includes operational notes, the notes are collected and stored. The Notes key appears when notes exist. It can be selected at any time during the flight to access the stored notes. Display the notes. The Notes display allows you to review all of the operational notes collected during the flight. Each note includes a reference title of the checklist that generated the note. Now, let's discuss deferred items. Several non-normal checklists contain deferred items at the end of the checklist. Deferred items are steps that are attached to a normal checklist, such as the approach or landing checklist later in the flight. In this example, deferred items from the flap slat control checklist have been attached to the approach checklist. This non-normal checklist is considered complete when all the steps prior to the deferred items have been accomplished. The checklist complete indication reminds you that some steps are deferred to a normal checklist to be accomplished later. You could decide to accomplish the deferred items now, instead of doing them in the approach checklist. Let's look at a second example where the approach checklist was completed before the non-normal checklist was accessed. The deferred items cannot be attached to a normal checklist which is already complete. Therefore, the non-normal checklist is not considered complete until the deferred items are checked off. Now let's discuss resetting the checklists. To use a completed checklist again, it must be reset. Individual checklists can be reset manually by using the checklist reset key. Reset the checklist. The checklist is now reset and ready to use again. To reset all of the checklists for the next flight, use the Resets key. Select the Resets key. The Resets menu contains information related to the electronic checklist database. These keys allow you to reset multiple checklists at one time. The Reset All key resets both the normal and non-normal checklists. During pre-flight, it is important that all of the checklists start out reset and ready to use. Reset all checklists. All checklists are now reset. Some checklists are also reset automatically. A reset of selected normal checklists is accomplished automatically after a go-around. Another automatic reset occurs when you reselect a normal checklist through the Normal menu key. Let's say that you have completed the pre-flight checklist, but you wish to accomplish the checklist again. Display the Normal menu. Reselect the pre-flight checklist. The pre-flight checklist is now reset. Notice that the closed loop items still sense if a step is complete. Non-normal checklists are automatically reset when the checklists are completed and the non-normal condition no longer exists. If the condition occurs again, the checklist is reset and ready to be redisplayed. If you do not want to accomplish the current step or the entire checklist, it can be overridden. When you override a step or checklist, the electronic checklist system treats it as completed. Checklist steps and entire checklists can be overridden by using the item override key and checklist override key. For example, let's say that you are dispatching with the auto brakes inoperative. Override the auto brake selector step. The step turns cyan. The cyan color indicates that you have chosen not to perform this step. Both closed loop and open loop steps can be overridden. The electronic checklist treats overridden steps as complete. A checklist is considered complete if all selectable steps are either green or cyan. Now let's look at another override situation. You have selected the flap slat control checklist from the non-normal menu for review. Page 2 of the checklist is shown here. Notice that there is no ICAS message and the title of the checklist is white. The flap slat control has not failed on the airplane. You are only displaying the checklist for review. This checklist contains notes and deferred items. The notes are collected on the Notes page, and the deferred items have been attached to the Approach checklist. Since you are just reviewing the checklist, you do not want unnecessary notes and deferred items to remain in the system. To put away the checklist, you must override it so that the notes and deferred items are removed. Override this checklist. The notes and deferred items have been removed. Remove the checklist from the display. This completes the instruction section of this lesson. Shortly after takeoff, you decide to return for a landing. Display the fuel jettison checklist. Use the touchpad to highlight the non-normal menu. The pre-flight checklist was completed earlier. The captain wishes to accomplish the checklist again. Display the pre-flight checklist. Use the touchpad to display the normal menu. Override this checklist.